Good evening and welcome. You are tuned in and watching the Zone Blitz by NFL Female. This is our weekly Tuesday night webcast. Be sure to jump on our website, www.nflfemale.com, and check out all the latest and greatest articles by all of our women who cover not only the 32 NFL teams, but the divisions. And I am Sharona. I cover the NFL for NFL Female. And we'll be joined soon by my co-host Sonja, who is on mom duty tonight. She's going to be running a little bit late, but I also have another one of my NFL female sisters on tonight, Leora, who is our Denver Broncos OFR, and we welcome a new guest to tonight's show, Abby at Carolina Abby on Twitter. Abby's been on my podcast a few times. She is a wonderful, huge Carolina Panthers fan, so she's joining us tonight for your Super Bowl preview, Super Bowl extravaganza. So I'm going to bring both of them in and let them introduce themselves to you, and we'll go ahead and get started, and then Sonja can join us when she gets through with her mom duties. So Leora, I will start with you.
Hi, my name is Leora Ruzin, and I am the Denver Broncos official fan reporter for NFL Female, joining these lovely ladies from a hotel in Tampa, Florida,
Lovely
where I'm doing
Tampa.
some training. Yes, it is gorgeous, beautiful, 80s and sunny. I currently live in the Washington, D.C. area, where we just unburied ourselves from an insane amount of snow. And I'm ready to get this party started.
Yeah, we had some snow in this area too. Now, Abby, you're in the Atlanta area, as I recall. Is that right?
That's correct, and it actually broke out into spring today, so that's a good thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
we've been in the middle of like the worst winter.
Oh.
But it was, I want to say it was like 70 degrees today. It was really nice.
That's great. So did you guys, I had to go to North Carolina. I say had to. I was blessed with the wonderful opportunity to go to North Carolina. Did you guys get any of that winter storm that everybody else was dealing with, or did it blissfully pass you by?
The funny thing is, it snowed in my backyard and not one flake in my front yard.
Oh, wow.
So I had like half an inch on my deck in the back. But my backyard's very wooded, and so I think there was just no sun out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. But yeah, it pretty much passed the area. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. There's so much to talk about. We're going to round out this show talking about those silly millennials, Johnny Manziel, Joseph Randle, some of the more interesting. Believe it or not, there are other things going on in the National Football League besides the Super Bowl, but obviously right now for football fans, the Super Bowl is consuming. I was telling Leora and Abby before we got started that I filed my prediction today. I didn't reveal anything about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about the season in general, the playoffs, and then we'll turn our attention to this matchup, get some injury updates, and then do some predictions. So, Abby, I want to start with you. You and I have had the fortunate opportunity to talk about this a little bit. How exciting was it now, the Panthers have been extremely successful since they did come into the league as an expansion team, and they've been very successful, but they finally got over that hump and made it back to the Super Bowl. Give us your thoughts on the season, and then we'll talk a little bit about the playoffs.
I mean, it's just been the most incredible season ever. You know, I was actually at training camp the day that Kelvin Benjamin went down.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, I was. And, you know, I mean, we had a lot of hopes going into the season. And then when that happened, I think, you know, we took a good week, all of us, and were depressed and moped around a bit. And, and then I think we really just bought into the whole next man up mantra. And, I mean, it's just been an amazing season. It's been so fun to be a part of, you know, on the field and off the field. We just love it.
Yeah. I was talking about, I had an opportunity was it just last Sunday? I'm so confused about, week ago Sunday about, Yeah, because there's a break. So I had a chance to watch the sidelines because the game got really, out of control, and so I took the opportunity to look at the interaction among the players and the coaches and the team in general, and of course in the fans, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it really is. There's a special camaraderie among this group.
I mean, they really, I think, view each other as family, and I think they truly love each other. And, I heard one of the guys say today, I think it maybe was Ed Dixon, I'm not really sure, but, we go out there, he said, we go out there and we play, and at the end of the day, it's just like we were playing, Pop Warner. We're just out there having fun, and it's not about who got what stat.
Yeah.
It's just about, did we win or lose? And it's kind of an innocence of football again, and it's just great from a fan perspective, to see without all the the on-field drama amongst each other.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Steve Smith here in a minute, and we're definitely going to talk about that whole Cam versus Peyton and the perception of Cam Newton and Flaggate and all of that. But I want to bring Leora in and get her thoughts on the Broncos season. A little bit more of a drama-filled season for the Broncos. Not that they didn't have injuries and stuff, but with the quarterback situation and some other things. Leora, give us your thoughts on the 2015 Denver Broncos.
It was the hardest fought 12-4 season I have ever seen in my entire life. Every game that we won was within 7 points. Every game we lost was within 7 points. And this team has just been through so much. And they've, this whole, we ended the season last year after that defeat to Indianapolis at home. And John Elway said, they weren't kicking and screaming. And I feel that they have just taken that mindset, that philosophy, and that should be our moniker for this season, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
We haven't given up, even when everyone else is counting us out.
Yeah.
We've been the underdog all season, and that's just us right now. We're the underdog, and we feed off that, and we don't focus on this silly quarterback controversy, and we just see this as one team, and they really have just grouped together, and they're there for each other. The offense, the defense.
Yeah. To their credit, neither quarterback wanted to make it about himself, and it was for that reason that it didn't become the huge issue that that it might have been. It was obviously a lot of discussion on sports radio and sports TV and on social media and whatever, but the Broncos did seem to just keep their attention on the field, keep their attention on the job in front of them. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. And the last game of the season against the Chargers, Brock Osweiler got the team to where they were at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Within that first seed, just one game away from capturing that first seed. And he wasn't doing that well. The receivers were dropping balls, and so Kubiak decided, well, we need to switch things up. And they put Manning in, and they didn't miss a beat. And Osweiler didn't let it get to him. He didn't take it personal because he knew that they were there to win a game, and they just needed a bit of a shift in momentum, and it worked. But that's been their motto all season. Next man up. We just got to get it done. And as a team, and it's not against any one person, Manning, Osweiler, whoever,
I think in a lot of ways, and in that way, the Broncos and the Panthers are similar. I want to get both of you to weigh in on this thought that I have. Both teams have a veteran presence in the locker room. For the Broncos, there are so many, but DeMarcus Ware, of course Peyton, and and others. And I don't know that anybody exemplifies that next man up, be the man, do your job mentality more than DeMarcus Ware.
Yep. He's such a cool guy, and I'm so glad that we picked him up. You know, like the Broncos have been the underdog. DeMarcus Ware was pretty much written off the map at the end of last season, and the Cowboys, you know, I don't know if they did him dirty, but they just decided that, you know, it wasn't a good fit, and we saw something in him more than just his abilities on the field. It was his leadership abilities, and he's really helped bring that defense into the next level of maturity and stability, and they've all really grouped around him, and he's such a fantastic guy, and I'm really glad that he's on the team.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad that we're
really
giving him that opportunity to get that Super Bowl. You know, this is his first time even being in a Super Bowl, so I can just imagine how elated and ecstatic he is right now.
Yeah, Abby and Leora asked me before we were chit-chatting before the show got going, and they asked me if I had a chance to check out any of the opening night stuff. And I said that I didn't, but now I did check out all of DeMarcus Ware stuff, and I did watch Cam stuff, both guys that I really enjoy and really like a lot. And I've been threatening I may just go ahead and do it. I think I'm going to get me a Cam Newton jersey. I just think I might just do that. So, yeah, so for Abby, for the Panthers, and there are a number of people that we could name, but the veteran presence that comes to mind for me is Charles Tillman. Now, obviously, he did suffer the injury, but he's been there despite all that, you know, pushing everybody on. And Thomas Davis. You can't leave Thomas Davis out of that discussion either.
Right. Well, I think that, honestly, I think Thomas Davis truly is the heart of the defense. I think that, you know, he's been there for a long time.
Yeah, he has.
We've seen him triumph over a lot of things, including right now a broken arm. Obviously, I think Charles Tillman is just he stepped in and has just been an amazing presence for our young secondary.
And Roman Harper.
But those two guys, Roman Harper, absolutely. They call him Uncle. They love him, and you know he coaches them up, and he's still playing pretty well. So,
very well.
Well, yeah. So we have a lot of veteran presence that I think is important. Ryan Khalil is another one. You know, and then we have some younger veterans like Greg Olson, and gosh, you can even throw Cam and Luke in there now.
And Luke, yeah, I completely agree with that. Yes, because they are young guys, but they've kind of grown up together, and and the Panthers are their team. It's their team now, which leads me to the Steve Smith thing. And you know, I have talked about this a little bit, and Abby and I have talked about this a little bit. You really have to credit Ron Rivera and Dave Gettleman for the job that they have done assembling that team and putting together that locker room.
That's correct. And I think that the way the locker room is right now is probably the biggest reason for our success this year. Have we had this talent, most of this talent on the team for the last, 3-4 seasons? We have. But it's just a different locker room now, and there's no ego in the locker room. And I know people want to think that Cam is full of ego, and he is to some degree, but not in that locker room. Those are his brothers, and they're, he's not better than the third string quarterback in that locker room.
I watched,
and that's that's how they are, and that's why they're successful this year. I believe that's one of the biggest keys to this season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I had an opportunity. You said that, and I agree. Listen, Cam, Peyton, DeMarcus Ware, Luke, we could go on and on and on. Name names and names and names. Ego, confidence, call it what you will. You're not going to get very far if you don't believe in yourself in whatever occupation you choose to do. And and it's interesting how public perception is. And again, we're going to talk about the Cam versus Peyton thing here in a minute. But I want to get you two to play a little bit of devil's advocate. Maybe that's not the right term. I want to get you to look on the other sideline and give me your thoughts on your opponent. What do you see your opponent? What kind of team do you perceive them to be, and what do you perceive to be their strengths and weaknesses? And I'm going to turn back to Leora and let her talk about the Panthers.
Why me first?
Okay, I can do that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Up until I found out that it's the Panthers that we were going to be playing against in the Super Bowl, I was rooting for them 100%. If it had been the Patriots and Panthers in the Super Bowl, I would be your next Panthers fan. But now that we're facing the Panthers, I've had to look at them in a different way.
They're the enemy now.
Huh?
They're the enemy now.
They are the enemy. They are.
Before
they were just maybe forever. Just depends. Ask me how I feel about the Seahawks. But I've been amazed at how well they played this season. I thought Cam Newton was just a great guy. I love how polarizing he is on the field, how he's in touch with the fan base. He has very strong convictions, and he follows through with those convictions, and I admire that about him. On the other hand, I think he is a little cocky and a little too flashy, and I think that is going to take away from how they perform on the field. And if he gets a little too comfortable in his abilities and doesn't take our defense seriously, he's going to be in trouble.
Yeah. All right. Abby, we'll let you respond to that, but first I want you to give me your thoughts on the Denver Broncos.
Okay. Well, let me start off by saying I only got to see them, I think, twice this year. So a lot of my perception is, from what I've read about them. Obviously, they've got a great defense, and, I saw some of the Patriots game, or the Patriots game was one of the games that I watched, and I'll agree with Leora on this, that it was probably the only time I've ever pulled for the Patriots, and the reason why is because I didn't want to face Peyton Manning because I respect him too much, and I didn't want to hate him. And that truly was the only reason why I was pulling for the Patriots. I just didn't want to have to match up against Peyton. So, I think they've got an outstanding defense. I think Carolina has a great defense as well, though. And obviously Peyton Manning. I mean, Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning. He hasn't had the greatest season for probably a couple of years now, but he's still Peyton Manning. So I think you have to be, aware that at any moment, that could break out again. So you have to be cautious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I want you to, this is a good way to go into our Cam versus Peyton discussion. Cam gets a lot of crap about what he wears, how he acts. It's like everything he does gets nitpicked to death. And
oh, come on, those pants, the pants. Can we
talk about the pants? But
look,
the pants.
I'm not even going to defend the pants. I'll defend just about everything Cam does.
The pants are terrible, but I understand what. Listen, the pants were awful. But I understand what he says because I coordinate my travel attire and my bed attire. I am a matchy girl. And so when Cam said, listen, my underwear is pink.
Super Bowl colors.
My underwear's pink because I'm wearing a pink shirt. That's how bad it is. So when Cam said he was wearing the colors because that was the only theme color he had in his wardrobe, I was like, I get that.
Men aren't supposed to get that though.
But he,
I
I
guess
mean,
that's just what's so weird about it.
did you see the shoes he wore? Like, when was that, Abby? The red ones?
I like the shoes.
I'd like the shoes too. Totally did
like
not go with his rat tail in the outfit.
Ugh. So I think it's a foxtail, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, it's a foxtail, yeah. But you know what it is? Here's the deal with Cam. He's a 26-year-old guy from College Park in Atlanta, and he is himself. And I appreciate that about him.
I do
it's
too.
not the way I'm going to dress. You know, I hope it's not the way my son dresses necessarily, but I appreciate that he doesn't feel the need to change. He is what he is. He's from where he's from. You know, his friends are who they are, and if you don't like it, too bad. Yeah. He's not doing this to impress you. He's doing it to, you know, to be himself. So
yeah, he's professed, in his own words, he says that he wants to be a superstar, and someone who says that is not going, if they mean it and if that is truly what they want to do and want to be, they're not going to let what people think about them, get in the way of that, and he definitely doesn't seem to do that. Okay, Leora, so hit me with it. The pants were horrible. I agree, the pants were horrible. But did you understand? I mean, did you listen to did you hear what he had to say about why he wore them?
No, I don't know. My brain froze at that point or melted, whatever.
It was the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl theme colors.
Okay, well, a gold tie, maybe a gold jacket. I don't know. Just you know what? If he wants to be him, that's cool, and I'll respect that and I appreciate that. But I feel it's a distraction.
It doesn't seem to be a distraction for them, though, right? I mean,
that's the case. It's the distraction for everybody else, but not for the team. And in fact, every time there's a controversy, they surround him and with so much love and support that the only person or the only people that are being distracted is everybody else. It's not the team.
I was watching the sidelines, and I didn't spend probably more than 5 or 10 minutes watching Cam Newton because I was watching a lot of things. So it's not a huge sample size, and this is from the NFC Championship game. And so the small sample size that I had, he was walking around and he was hugging everybody, teammates, equipment staff. I mean, everybody. It wasn't just, Luke and, the quote unquote stars on the team. They don't act like they're stars. To me, that's my perception. I know as I was watching them, I mean, they're football players. They're, committed to doing their job, but they didn't seem like they were all, I'm a superstar kind of thing. And so, it was kind of fun to watch, and they were having fun. He was having fun, so it was, kind of interesting for me to get a chance to see that. And the fans were great. The fan interaction was stupendous. There weren't that many Cardinals fans there that I could see. And so, that was kind of neat to see. And I got a chance to see the downtown bars, a little bit of the downtown bars and stuff. It was lit, let me tell you. Let me just leave it at that. It was lit, and then, So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about injuries, and then we'll talk about matchups, and then we'll get predictions. And then I definitely want to get you two to talk to me a little bit about what you think about Johnny Manziel and Joseph Randle and those situations and some of the other younger things that you see from younger players. So, Abby, since we're talking, I'll go ahead and start with you. Give us an update. Thomas Davis, I know every indication is that he intends to play even though his arm was broken and he has a gazillion screws in it. What's up with Ryan Khalil, and I do believe Roman Harper and Mike Tolbert were both dinged up in that game as well. Give us an update.
Right. I don't really have an official update on that, but I will tell you I expect all of those guys to go. Ryan Khalil is going to go. Thomas Davis, I believe him. He says he's going to go.
Yeah.
If there's a way to go, you know, if he can unlock the handcuffs that the coaches,
Yeah.
you know, he's going to be on that field. And nobody's
And they're not going to
he's
handcuff
not.
him. I want you to know,
Nobody's.
if you didn't cry at that picture of him and the picture that his lady posted of her kissing him before he was going in surgery, you don't have a heart, because I was like flooding tears just looking at that thing. It was so adorable. I'm getting teared up
so
now.
Sweet.
They are.
I know. The way he loves his wife and adores her, I tell you, he is an amazing man. So, but I really expect pretty much everybody to go. You know, other than the ones that are out, that we know are out, the Charles Tillmans and
what about Jared Allen?
Bene.
Is he expected to play?
Jared Allen said he could have played last week.
Okay.
So he's
All right.
and he was a little hot that he didn't play last week. So
right. Cool.
yeah, he's gonna go.
All right. Leora, Chris Harris is obviously the big injury for the Broncos. What's his status? Give us an update on your injury situation.
You know, Chris Harris is the one that really sticks out. He said that he's feeling better. Obviously, having the week off helped him. I felt really bad for him after the AFC Championship. Going into the game, he said, you know, I can barely play with my toddler. I'm having a hard time, like, putting my clothes on in the morning because of, you know, lifting my arm. And he still went out there and played most of his snaps. So I have such respect for that man, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will be a very big part of the defense on Sunday. Of course, my other concern is how well Peyton Manning will play. But, you know, after seeing how well he adapted to Kubiak's hybrid offense during the AFC Championship and how we were able to get a run game established, I have confidence that they will be able to continue on that momentum and get the run game going, and just make sure that he's keeping control of the ball, that he's not turning the ball over, you know, and that if he has to play game manager in order to make it work, you know, to offset some of those injuries that he's dealing with, and that's fine with me. It's fine with him. My other biggest concern right now is TJ Ward, but he's also doing much better, and I'm confident that there's no one on the injury report that really sticks out for me as possibly being out. There's a couple questionables, but I think that's just a formality. So I think that based on who we still have on the active roster, that we will be in a really good spot.
I did also watch Peyton, most of what Peyton had to say, and you know, Peyton low-key is a witty, funny guy, and his press conference was amazing. It was pure Peyton. It was pure Peyton, you know,
right?
And he was very supportive of Cam.
Yeah, he had nothing but great things to say about Cam and the Panthers. He said, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that Cam will end up getting the MVP award Saturday night, and I'm in full agreement with that. I feel that Cam deserves that honor, 110%. But yeah, I think Manning has managed these interviews very well. Obviously, the biggest question is, are you going to retire? And what's going on with all these HGH allegations? I think my favorite quote was after repeated questions about, you know, are you coming back next year? He said, I would be more concerned if Curb Your Enthusiasm is coming back. And I was like, yes, because I absolutely love that show. And I was like, zing! So I was really pleased to hear that. So you're just, taking the focus off of, who cares about next season right now? We're here to prep and prepare for the Super Bowl. So I think I've really enjoyed listening to his interviews.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because if I remember correctly, he denied making those comments, but it still became a thing anyway. I mean, I legitimately think that a lot of these reports are just planted BS for the media to make a big deal about.
Right. And it's just, give that man his privacy. Let him finish this season with some dignity and some respect, and just leave him alone. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's beyond frustrating how the media has attacked him and his integrity, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So.
Yeah, very. You mentioned this.
I'm curious.
Go ahead, Abby.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm curious, do you feel like it's more of a local thing or a national thing? And the reason why I ask that, I'm not hearing a lot of negativity here in Atlanta about Peyton, and I'm just curious if it's more of local or regional where he's being attacked more.
It's you can find a lot on social media.
Right.
And a lot of like Skip Bayless, who I can't stand.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody listen to him? I mean.
And Chris Sims, and all of these people who were like, anyone who's ever been accused of cheating always ends up being caught. And the same will be true with Manning. And how did he break all those records without getting some kind of aid through some kind of banned substance? So just you get these little snidey comments and remarks, and just everyone saying that he's washed up and that he's going to bomb spectacularly on Sunday, just not giving him the respect that he deserves.
Yeah. Well, that does seem to be the world that we live in these days. It's kind of sad. Anyway, I don't pay a lot of attention to Chris Sims's opinion or to Skip Bayless, so I admit I didn't know either one of those guys had anything to to say about Peyton Manning. But it just is what it is. I think that a lot of times it's driven by the need for attention, clicks and listens and things of that nature, controversy to to create ratings and interest and all of that. It doesn't seem to be prevalent among the, I don't want to use the media people that I follow aren't making a huge deal about it. Let's just leave it at that. And but I try to stay away from drama mongers, the ones that thrive and feed off of that. Peyton had some interesting comments. And I don't want to put words in his mouth. I want to ask you, Leora, because I know you follow the team very closely. It almost sounded to me, again, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but it almost sounded to me like at the end of the season when he got back into the starting role and in the playoffs, that he was conceding to the system that he was being put into, whereas in the early part of the season, he fought against that.
I would hate to think that. I really would. I think that he wants the team to succeed, and if he can help in any way, then that's what he will do. And it's also a matter of him and Kubiak coming to a mutual understanding as to what's best for the team. Whether it's changing up the offensive schemes to fit Peyton's limitations, or Peyton conceding a little bit to Kubiak so that this offense can thrive.
They do seem to have moved closer together in their philosophy.
I agree. I think that time that Manning sat on the bench helped that relationship grow a little bit, because there was, me, what I said at the beginning of the season. I felt that there was some dissension between them. And that Manning's used to having control, and he had to give that up. And I do think at the beginning of the season he found that to be difficult. But I think you're never too old to grow and to evolve and to become better for the betterment of others. So I definitely feel that he did what he had to do to help the team, and it's just now I feel like things are much more fluid and more copacetic between him and Kubiak and the rest of the offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's go ahead and turn to matchups. Since we're talking, I want to ask you, Chris Harris is one of the best defensive backs in the National Football League. The Panthers don't have a big name wide receiver with Kelvin Benjamin going down, but Ted Ginn has had an amazing year for the Panthers. Do you think that is Chris Harris? Are they going to play zone? Will Chris Harris shadow Ted Ginn? How do you expect them to offensively to handle things in their secondary? And then we're going to talk about the front seven.
That's a good question. And I don't know a whole lot about the Panthers offense. I do know that over the last few games, Chris Harris has played more of a double coverage position, and I don't know if that's because of his injury or just because he's been matched up with some really tough guys, Gronkowski, and the Steelers guy,
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, so I think I don't think that it'll be a double coverage situation this week. But we'll have to see. I think it's a matter of the Panthers are not. They're not a familiar team for the Broncos. Mm-hmm. We don't play the Panthers that often, so it will be interesting to see how well they've used these 2 weeks to watch tapes and get a feel for the offense. And just it might be a situation where you're going to have to make some adjustments halftime.
I'm very curious to see what they do too. Greg Olsen, fantastic.
Yeah, he does concern me a little bit, and Tolbert when he's healthy is incredibly dangerous. So we'll have
healthy.
to see.
Yeah, he's healthy. He did go out late in the NFC Championship. It didn't seem like it was a big deal to me. That's why I was asking Abby about it.
It's not. He's one of my favorite players, so anytime I can get a Tolbert shout out, I have to. So.
He's great. Yeah, he's awesome. The front seven, I don't know that there's a better front set. And the Panthers have one too, don't get me wrong. Their front seven is very good. But I don't know that there is a better front seven in the National Football League. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, who we've talked about. I keep wanting to call him Ethan Wolf, but I think his name is Derek Wolf.
Derek Wolf.
Okay. I don't know why I had Ethan Wolf on the brain, but talk a little bit about them. And how do you think that the Broncos are going to handle Cam Newton's unique skill set?
I think you got to worry about Von Miller. He is so quick off the line, it's ridiculous. And when you team him up with Derek Wolf, it's a dangerous situation. So I think the Broncos only blitzed 17% in the AFC Championship, which was a season low for us. So I really think that we're going to have to beef up that blitz and blitz more often so we can make Cam nervous and make him throw off the fly. And I think that's where we're going to see some success.
Sorry, I heard something. We're having extremely high winds here. So I was like, what was this? The wind. Von Miller, I'm actually very curious to see if Von Miller tries to do the Superman dance. If he does sack him. his sack moves are legendary. We know this.
They are. I want a video of all of his sack dances because they are beautiful and incredibly crazy and sometimes borderline inappropriate, but they're fun.
Yes, he has on occasion indicated that he's quite proud of his manly parts. So we'll just leave it at that. All right.
I love him.
He's so funny. Okay, Abby, on your side, how do you think the Carolina Panthers are going to handle the Denver defense that finished 2015, the number one ranked defense in the league? Their defensive stats are so pure and glorious.
Right. Well, we're just going to play our game. And, again, I didn't watch a whole lot of Denver during the season, but I did, obviously watch the last game. And, there are a couple of big differences. Cam and Brady are completely different quarterbacks. Yes, Cam's got the speed to get away, and he also has the speed or the strength to, bring people down with him. So it's not going to be as easy. And plus, we've got a highly ranked offensive line this year.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as easy as it seems. I think we just play our game though, which is, a combination of pass and run, Cam in the run, Stu in the run, Tolbert in the run, and we just stick with what's worked for us.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that makes sense. The Carolina Panthers offense has been rolling throughout the season. Put up or shut up attitude would seem to make sense. We've been rolling. This has been successful. You stop us.
Correct. And, well, I don't want to jump ahead further. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Till later. Well, I was just going to say, I've heard so much about the number one offense playing the number one defense, and defenses win championships, and I absolutely agree with that theory. But we're forgetting that the Panthers have a great defense,
yes, they do.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of leans things in our favor.
Yeah.
If it was a number one offense playing a number 30 defense or a number 20 defense or vice versa, that skews things. But our teams our offense and our defense is pretty evenly matched. We've had kind of the bend don't break philosophy with defense, and we've gotten up in games big, and we've let leads go away.
Right.
But at no point in those games, in Arizona and even in the Seahawks game, were we at risk of a go-ahead score.
So
I
would agree with that. I think the Panthers have a fantastic defense, and matching them up like that, on paper, it does look like the Panthers are the overall more balanced, better team. But I also agree with Leora in that never count out Peyton Manning.
Oh, absolutely. I will never count him out. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. Do you want to give me a prediction real quick?
I'm going 31-17.
Well, I'm going to let 31-17.
31-17.
Go bold. Go bold or go home. I like it. Who do you think is going to be the Super Bowl MVP? Cam?
It's going to be a quarterback. So, yes, I believe it's going to be Cam Newton.
Okay. All right.
And if Denver wins, it's definitely going to be Peyton Manning. It's going to be a quarterback.
Okay. Leora?
I obviously I'm going 24-21, and I'm going overtime. Because that's just been our MO this year. We've won some really awesome, thrilling games in overtime. Against the Steelers, against the the Bengals and the Patriots in the regular season. So I think it will be an incredibly close game, much closer than everybody's saying it will be. We're not going to get blown out. We're not going to repeat Super Bowl 48. Not going to happen. It's not even possible.
Don't let that snap go over Peyton's head.
Absolutely not. If that happens, I'm just going to turn the TV off because I can't do it again. I just cannot do it again.
One of the funniest things I read about that game, and the Broncos obviously have a long and lengthy history in the National Football League. They have been in the league for a long time and have had a lot of success and everything. One of the funniest things I read, and they've had some epic failure moments. One of the funniest things I read was a guy talking about that play. And if you remember, it was the first play of Super Bowl 48, and the snap goes sailing over Peyton Manning's head, and this dude said, when that happened, I was like, oh, so it's one of those games.
I knew it was going to be one of those games when the coin toss was screwed up. So I knew going in when Joe Namath came out in that terrible fur coat thing he was wearing and screwed up the coin toss. I knew that was it for the Broncos, and I'm just superstitious like that. Even though
don't let Joe Namath anywhere near the Super Bowl.
Yes, thank you. But no, I think 24-21 in overtime, and I actually think I don't know who, but I think it's going to be someone on the defense who's going to win the MVP.
I've got that feeling too. I
Yep.
agree completely with Abby. With two big name quarterbacks like this and the way both these teams are built and whatever, a quarterback makes all the sense in the world. But I've just got this feeling this year that it's going to be a defensive player too. I don't know why. I just kind of feel that way. My prediction was that it would be a Panthers victory and that it would be 28. I believe I said 28-21 in regulation. I did not predict overtime. So we'll see how close we get. I'm excited about it. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I almost came very close to wearing my C3 T-shirt tonight, but I didn't want to do that to Leora. I couldn't do that to my girl Leora.
What's nobody likes us. It makes me sad. Like everybody's picking us to lose. I hate it.
I do. I love it. No, listen. I love Denver, and I still love Peyton, and I have mad love for DeMarcus Ware, and
we're letting the hate feed us.
And I love your scarf. I absolutely love your scarf.
I got it when I went to the Bronco game, and the one where we lost to the Chiefs. We're not going to talk about that either, but yeah, I got this scarf.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to be
team out of it.
Yeah. We'll have. You need to come on my podcast. We need to talk about that because I want to know if Chiefs fans are as bad as what I've heard.
They are, and I used to live in Kansas City for 4 years, so I can attest to it.
Right.
They absolutely 100% are.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's talk real quick about Johnny Manziel and Joseph Randle. And I in our production notes, I couched this as those darn millennials. But I mean, Johnny Manziel, ladies, he just can't get right. Abby, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you make of Johnny Manziel? The Browns are going to move on from him. That is set in stone. Is he done in the league? Where do you think he might end up? What do you make of it?
Honestly, I don't know. I felt like him when he came into the league. I don't feel like he's a starting caliber quarterback. I think he could be a solid backup or a stopgap kind of quarterback. I'm actually worried for the kid. I'm going to be honest.
Me too.
His life is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And I fear that we're going to wake up one day and read, that he's not with us anymore. Somebody needs to yank him up and set him straight. And he needs to go to rehab, and he needs to go to counseling. And, people have got to quit enabling him. Or he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Period. And it's not about football. It's about a young life that's just screwed up.
Leora, what do you think?
I mean, I feel really bad for him because he hasn't really had an opportunity to get right, and he's attached himself to an organization that's such a mess right now.
Yeah.
I feel bad for anyone who's a Browns fan. But sadly, knowing the NFL the way that I do, there will be a team out there who will give him a chance. They may put some conditions on there, but there's some teams out there who are desperate for a quarterback.
It's a quarterback-thirsty league.
It definitely is, especially when you look at the upcoming draft class. There's not a whole lot of strength in quarterback in the first round, or even the initial parts of the second round. So I think that there's going to be a team out there that's going to give him a chance. So, you need to get healthy in the off season. You need to get some help, rehab, whatever it is. Stop beating up on your girlfriend. Stop doing what you're doing.
They definitely seem to have a destructive relationship, and that is very concerning to me.
It is. But I don't count anything out in this league anymore. When all they care about is making money and making headlines. I don't think that we've seen the end of him. He'll end up somewhere, even if it's in a backup position. He'll end up somewhere.
Yeah, I said this when he was coming out, and even his last season in College Station at Texas A&M. I completely agree. He's been enabled, and a lot of it was media enabling him, saying, "Leave Johnny Manziel alone. Let Johnny Manziel be Johnny Manziel." And I said, does this guy want to go to the NFL and be a successful quarterback, or is he just about the party life and wants the glitz and glamour and all of that? Because, to be a good quarterback in the National Football League, you got to put in the time. And nobody ever asked him that question. Nobody seemed to have been all that concerned about that question. And now what we're seeing and what we're hearing, and I completely agree, he went to the absolute worst organization he could have gone to. And not only did Johnny Manziel put his own career in jeopardy, but he also jeopardized Josh Gordon's career. And Josh Gordon got suspended again because of the party that Johnny Manziel threw on his private jet that he chartered.
Oh.
And so, he's not just ruining his own life. The Browns, as disastrous of an organization as they are, the Browns did invest a first-round draft selection on him. Those things have value, and they obviously expected him to be that guy, and he's not that guy. Let me ask both of you this, and I'll turn back to Abby for this. Is it a bad thing for him to get another opportunity and to go to a team, the San Francisco 49ers, the New Orleans Saints, some team, I'm just throwing names out there, even the Dallas Cowboys, if Jerry Jones is willing to buy him a bodyguard to babysit him like he did Des Bryant? Is it a bad thing to give this guy structure and checks and balances? You have to do this, 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 and this. He seems like he needs structure to me. Abby, what do you think?
I'm very torn. I just think that right now he needs to get his priority can't be football. His life is so far out of control. If a team's willing to pick him up and put him in rehab and wait for a year before he even takes a snap, if they're willing to do that, maybe he is worth it. But I never bought into that he's a starting quarterback. I just didn't. So I don't, unless you're willing to babysit a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a legitimate
point. Stay away from Dallas.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate
to stay away from Dallas.
Leora, did you think he was a starting caliber quarterback before he came into the league? Were you like, yeah, he can do this?
I can't make that. I can't make that determination because there's never been a position where he can show his true potential. I saw flashes of brilliance this season. I also saw moments where he was completely destructive. When you take away the one thing that can level someone out and give them purpose, that just puts them in an even more dangerous position.
Yeah.
And so if football could be the thing that gets him right, that gives him the focus and a reason to get better. And to take that away from him, it could have a disastrous effect on him. Yeah. Am I saying give him another chance to be a starting quarterback? No, I'm saying put him in a position where he has an opportunity, because I do think that he has potential. You just have to get him to that point and get him right.
What do you think about my first question? Is it a good or a bad thing for him to get another opportunity and to have structure and checks and balances for what he needs to do in order to stay a member of the National Football League?
I do think it would be a good thing. I think he's still a young guy. I think that he, needs to be with an organization that can help him grow, and an organization that's not in such turmoil. I think he deserves one last opportunity whether it's quarterback, backup, or
What organization do you think would be good for him? They don't need him. The Patriots would be a great organization, but again, they don't. Yeah. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo. Unless they trade him,
I would even say maybe even the Giants in a backup position.
Well, but they've got a new coaching staff, a guy who's wet behind the ears. Maybe. If Tom Coughlin was still there, I would completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Maybe Detroit with the Lions, Jim Caldwell, a guy that might be able to help him. Or Oh, the
I mean,
Chip Kelly. No, Chip Kelly wouldn't be a great place for him to go.
no. I mean,
Um, yeah.
who's a good mentor,
Andy
and that's
Reid,
what.
but they've got quarterbacks. See, they've got Tyler Bray and I forget the other guy's name. Yeah, what maybe the Jets, Todd Bowles and the Jets.
Yeah.
They seem like they might be. Maybe they move on from Geno Smith, but they've already had their problem guy. Do they want to take on another problem guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but
Yeah,
I do think he will end up somewhere. It's just a matter of is it going to be with a team that will help him?
yeah.
Because I do think that there's something there. I do.
What
I
about
just want to
Joseph
bring
Rand?
up.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please go.
No, I was just going to bring up a point. Going back several years, if y'all remember Kerry Collins,
Yes,
for the Panthers, who basically walked away from
yes,
starting quarterback as a Panther because he was an alcoholic.
yes.
And, he was, I don't know if he left the league completely. Actually, I think he went to
You went to
New
the
Orleans.
Titans.
Well, yeah, eventually he ended up
Yes.
there. But I think
Mm-hmm.
when he left, I think he ended up in New Orleans, and he really didn't do anything for several years. And then he became a pretty solid backup, kind of stopgap quarterback. I think he had some success with the Titans.
He
Didn't
did. He very much did. He
he?
led them to the
Yeah,
playoffs in 2008.
yeah. So I'm not counting Johnny out completely. I'm just, I just feel like he needs to get some things straight. So
Yeah,
and there's hope out there.
yeah,
Other people have done it.
yeah.
So
Yep.
Maybe Arizona, Uncle Bruce could straighten him out.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
So we'll see. I was going to ask you guys about Joseph Randall, just real quick. Joseph Randall and his gambling habits. Is this symptomatic of that generation? Do you think these are outlier incidents? What do you think, Abby?
I don't know that it's a generational thing. I just think he's another guy that's a little bit out of control. You
Okay.
know.
All right. Leora, do you agree with that?
I don't know a whole lot about his story, to be honest with you. After he was let go earlier this season, I completely forgot about
Yeah.
him.
He's
And I
another
don't
guy
even.
who's been arrested several times. I know
Right.
one thing I meant to say about Johnny Manziel. I'm legitimately shocked that he's not in the program yet. The drug
Right.
rehab. I don't know how he's managed to stay out of it. I really
Right.
don't.
Well, and then with this Joseph Randall thing, I know that he's been arrested several times over the last year and a half, but I guess he was arrested again
This
yesterday.
Yeah, and this
Uh,
last there's an indication about gambling. If that is
yeah.
true, he'll never get reinstated.
No, I mean that's completely
Yeah.
a completely different thing altogether.
Yeah.
You can't bet on the game that you're playing. You just can't do that. So it's unfortunate, but I don't know if it's this generation or, you know, I always feel that it comes from the top down. You got to have good leadership and you got to hold these guys accountable, and if you're not doing that because they're
Mm-hmm.
superstars or they're the money makers or the
Mm-hmm.
guys who make who get in the media and get the buzz going, so
Yep.
they get the tap on the hand, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be firm with these guys
Mm-hmm.
and not let them get away with all of this stuff.
Yep.
So it's a matter of holding the higher guys accountable for what
Yep.
their team is doing.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
It starts
It
with
was.
good coaches. So
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with that. Ladies, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Sonja must have been tied up with her mom duties, so we missed you. We missed you tonight, but she'll be back
yay.
next week, and Kate will be back next week. Before we get out of here, Abby, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you out there on social media.
Okay, well, I'm usually hanging on Twitter, so I'm Carolina Abbey, and it's spelled Abbie, and I love to interact with other sports fans, so feel free to follow me and hit me up, and we'll chat.
She's great on Twitter. Leora, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at LeoraKitty78. I tend to live tweet the games, and so my family knows not to follow me on Twitter or Facebook that day because it can be quite obnoxious. And you can also find me on NFL Female, where I represent the Broncos as the official fan reporter.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining me. I'm Sharona. You can follow me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona. Check us out next week, The Zone Blitz by NFL Female, and check out my podcast, Back Talk with Sharona, on Friday, our Super Bowl preview with Fast I Hurt and Jennifer Eakins. So tune in for that. Have a great night. Thanks for watching, and go teams.
Go Broncos!
Good night. Keep pounding.
Good night.
Keep pounding. What is the Broncos rally cry?
I'm going with kicking and screaming.
Okay, kicking and screaming.
Why not? Kicking and screaming.
Keep kicking and screaming.
Underdog.
All right. Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.